Let's focus in for a little while on brokers, since that's probably what most people are going to be doing. So what are some things we need to know about brokers, and like how happy are they to hear from a new investor?
So it really all depends on how you approach them, right? I think so you have to build relationships with brokers, right? That's really the only way to succeed in this business. And the problem is that a lot of people hear information like, we'll go on Google and find some brokers and reach out to them, and then that's how you get started. It's really not the best way to reach out to them, because what often happens is that people who are doing that they're kind of, they've come out of a seminar or they're whatever it is, they're really hot to go, and they don't do any preparation. They don't stop to think about the broker's point of view. And they tend to think of brokers as like a means to an end, not as a person. And then when things don't work out, then they start talking about brokers as if they're the enemy, right? And you'll see this on like places like BiggerPockets all the time, where the way that people are talking about brokers is if somehow like they're the enemy that you have to conquer, or you somehow have to get through, or they're interfering between you and the seller, and they're just, at best they're a necessary evil. They're not. They're making a market for the rest of us, right? They're bringing together their relationships with buyers and their relationships with sellers so that transactions can happen. The thing that you have to understand from the human perspective about brokers is that brokers don't make money unless the deals close. So they have to believe that you can close the deal before they're going to invest time in you. Except occasionally very new young brokers who are trying to build a business, and they may be in a position where they'll just talk with anybody. But I think very quickly they will learn that a lot of people who are just reaching out to them, who are, all full of energy because they came out of a seminar, are not going to follow through. So what you should be doing is investing time up front to develop certain skills and develop, certain what's the word? Not document. Well, documentation is part of it, but also just like you have to basically show that you're in the business, right? And create a good impression that you're really in the business and you really know what you're doing. And if you do it right, a lot of times what happens is people are like, brokers always ask me for proof of funds. How do I overcome that? Well, the reason that they're asking you for proof of funds, there could be two reasons. One is because the seller has said, I only want people to deal with people who can prove funds because I don't want to waste my time. That could be one reason. And then if you don't have the funds, there's really nothing you can do about that. The other reason is because the brokers are using this as a filter, because they're trying to filter in only those newbies who you may not know what they're doing, but they have a lot of money and they can buy something and they can close, right? The proof of funds question is designed to filter out anybody who kind of looks like maybe they don't know what they're doing, but the broker wants to make sure that they're not accidentally pushing away somebody who really could close a deal. But that also means that you can approach the broker in such a way where you don't create the impression that you are someone who doesn't know what they're doing, who needs to be asked the proof of funds question, right? And I have actually a whole training around this issue, but I'm going to take you guys through it right now, on a high level, so you kind of understand how this works. But you can totally create relationships with brokers and approach them in a way that makes them just assume that you know what you're doing, and then you can avoid the proof of funds question a lot of the time. I'm not saying it's foolproof. It won't work 100% of the time, but hopefully it'll work enough of the time that it'll make a difference for you to start getting some traction.